Hello, my name is Candice and I handle the design part of the business.
My name is Margaret and I handle the marketing part of the business.
We used to be lost in law school and now we are found in freelancing.
Okay, we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff here. Freelancing, branding, business, pricing, mindset, productivity, how to get your clients.
Oh my god, you talk too much.
Okay, we're not starting yet, right?
Can we just tell them what the podcast title is?
This is Article and Design
A podcast made by Filipino freelancers
for Filipino freelancers. So hi guys, welcome to Article and Design podcast. I am your host, Margaret, and I have a guest co-host for today. So guys, let's welcome Jen Openza.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me again.
Of course, you're welcome every time, Jen. So you probably heard of Jen, guys, on this podcast because yes, we interviewed her last season 1. So please check out her interview, season 1, episode 10. There's a lot of value bombs na pwede nating makuha sa interview with Jen. Just a quick backstory about Jen. Jen is a freelance travel consultant for over 6 years. And she's also a small business owner, and she's also a partner of the Camagon Business Solutions. So, Jen, again, thanks for being our co-host.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to be back, Jen. No?
Yeah.
So, Jen, this topic is a very interesting topic, and it's really close to my heart. Ewan ko sa'yo, ha?
Yeah. I'm excited to talk about this too.
Yeah. I really love this topic, Jen, because for like over 7 or 8 years in freelancing, I think after 2 years or 3 years ko pa actually talaga na nagawa yung na-form yung habits ko for productivity. Kasi there's a lot of trial and error what's working for me, diba? This topic we're going to discuss about, this episode, we're going to discuss about 7 no BS productivity tips for Filipino freelancers.
Yep.
So are you ready, Jen?
Yes.
All right. So, guys, why is it very important that you should have a productivity, like a routine for working as a freelancer? Because as Jen mentioned in her episode last season 1, yung danger kasi ng freelancing, guys, is the problem there is because no one is watching us, diba? So, wala tayong manager, wala tayong anybody na, nasa likod natin.
Yeah.
Natitingnan ko nag-work tayo. Your discipline is very important sa freelancing.
So just remember, guys, that while we are going to give you tips on how you can be productive as a freelancer, remember that this is something that works for us, so it might not always work for everyone. Although we will try to talk about the topic, as generic as possible para relatable siya, at least, and practical, so it's easy to follow. But like yung sinabi ni Mayat kanina na it took her 2 years to get used to her routine, so it also took me some time to really find a routine that works best for me. So that is also our advice to you, to find whatever is for you. And then, so yeah, because I'm pretty sure that this topic is not really new. A lot of people has already talked about it. Probably your favorite author or like YouTuber or whoever has probably talked about productivity. But then again, it is something that if it works for one person, it doesn't always work for you or for everyone.
Yeah.
So just find out whatever feels great for you.
Yeah. So yeah, John is right, guys. Yun nga, just to put it out there, just a disclaimer for you guys na hindi namin sinasabi na okay, this is the absolute thing that you're going to do to be productive. Because whatever works for you, you should do that. Okay, but we're going to provide you some tips that also worked for us as well, and maybe you could use it as your guide. In this episode, we're not going to tell you now, okay, you have to be nocturnal, you have to be a morning person, you have to join the 5 a.m. club.
We are not part of the 5 a.m. club.
Yeah, totally. Di talaga eh, kaya gawin.
We tried several times.
So let's dive in, Jen. I can't wait. Number 1 is you have to decide on what you want to accomplish. Okay, so as a freelancer or a small business owner, we have a lot of goals, diba? So meron tayong mga major goals and mga, even minor goals. So in forming habits kasi or being productive, first and foremost is, alamin mo kasi talaga muna ano yung gusto mo. Ano yung gusto mong marating. You have to have a clarity on what you want to accomplish. Kasi bakit? Para yung brain mo won't get too scattered. Dami-dami mong gustong gawin. Hindi na makakoncentrate yung brain mo. Ano talaga yung i-achieve
Yeah.
So for example,
overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. For example, one of the parang minor, or hindi naman minor, parang isa sa parang immediate goal that you want to accomplish is, for example, you want to make $5,000 profit as a freelancer in 2 months. And then, in order for you to accomplish that, kailangan mo kasi mag-dial in sa productivity mo day in and day out. You have to dial in. So you have
Commit.
to, you have to commit. Exactly. So that's why productivity is really important. Kasi hindi, paano mo ma-achieve yung 5,000 mo in 2 months if wala naman pala ginagawa na, alam mo yun, every day, di ba? Parang nag-work ka lang for just kung ano lang nandyan. So you have to be clear on what you want to accomplish. Or in other cases, like major goals, you wanted to become a 6-figure, 7-figure freelancer in 12 months. Yung mga ganun. So you can achieve that by, forming healthy habits as a freelancer. Or may mga ibang goals naman. For example, you wanted to finish a course. For example, yung course natin dyan, dito sa Article Design, which is a super freelancer course.
Yep.
So you wanted to finish it in 1 month. So you have to decide on what you want to accomplish. Or in other cases, gusto mo maging expert social media manager. Those are other goals that you can actually decide for yourself. You have to have clarity, as I've said. Ano yung gusto mo talaga accomplish? Then number 2, you have to know your priorities. So ano ba yung pinaka-priority mo? For example, you wanted to be an expert in social media. So yun ang priority mo talaga. You have to make it a point na lahat ng ginagawa mo related doon. Kasi yun yung priority mo eh. So the other thing will come second then. So guys, decide on what you want to accomplish. So you have to have a clarity and you have to know your priorities. That's number 1. Number 2, guys, is you have to track your time and what you're doing so you will know where you're wasting your time. Okay, so 5 years ago, tanda ko na, no? So what I did is I tracked my time using, I think, Time Doctor or Rescue Time, if I'm not mistaken. So inako yung time ko. Kasi yung apps na yun is, sasabihin niya kasi yun dyan, di ba? Anong mga ginagawa mo.
So like time and motion.
Time and motion, exactly. Yung Rescue Time, ilalagay niya doon, okay, ganitong hours ka nag-spend sa, for example, Facebook, sa YouTube, sa emails mo or whatever. Parang ganun. So inako yung time ko. Tapos, napansin ko pala, nagsisspend pala ako masyado sa Facebook.
So that's why you disappeared on Facebook.
Yeah. Exactly, diba?
Atonement.
Yeah, atonement talaga. So, napansin ko doon, sinabi sa results ko dyan, nagsisspend ako na so much time sa Facebook. And then, hindi yun siya yung what I want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Diba? Hindi ko gusto maging social media manager or hindi ko gusto maging, alam mo yun, Facebook person, whatever. Hindi yun yung priority ko eh. Pero doon ako nag-spend so much time. So, napansin ko na, okay, this is not helping me. So, kaya, tama si Jen. May Facebook ako ngayon, pero it's just purely work. But yeah, yung Facebook ko talaga before is, tinanggal ko na siya. So, nawala ko siya. So, yeah, you have to track your time and check what you're doing. If yung lahat ng ginagawa mo, actually, what you're spending time on, kailangan ba siya dun sa gusto mo ma-accomplish? Okay, sa gusto mo marating. Kasi sabihin mo na, ay, nako, ano naman, may added work. No, guys, hindi. Kasi pag gumamit ka ng app, wala siyang added work eh. Okay? Yung app na yung mag-work for you and then kukunin niya yung data mo. Mapapakita niya sa yung results kung ano mga pinagagawa mo sa buhay mo. Diba? So, yeah.
I don't want to face that demon.
You don't want to face it?
Like half of your day you're on social media.
Not safe for work ba? Yung ginagawa mo? So guys, track your time. To just name a few, you can use Clockify. It's free. Time Doctor, Rescue Time, and Toggle and Harvest. Those are the 5 apps that you can use to measure and track your time. So ako ginawa ko trinako yung time ko for 1 month. 1.5, 6 weeks. Trinako yung time ko. Then doon ko na naman na, puro kabalas lang pala yung pinagagawa ko. So,
good for you.
Yeah, sometimes kasi dyan, in order to solve the problem, you have to know, di ba? Ano yung problem
You have to face it.
You have to face it. So I challenge you, Jen, to use the time tracker.
That's right. Although I think because I have already found my ritual, something that works for me. So I've found something that works for me. I found my ritual. So parang na-eliminate ko na yung mga unnecessary habits. Although, of course, they are still there because, that's how we are. You get distracted, and that's okay. You don't have to punish yourself for that. So what I've been doing, which we will be discussing further later in this episode. So what I've been doing is I create a schedule of my daily activities. Analog lang, I write it in my notebook. So for example, I have for today my schedule is, let's say, I wake up at 9 and then end my day at like 1 a.m. for example. So I plot my tasks as schedule, so I would know what I'm supposed to be doing at this hour. So it kind of eliminates then the unnecessary tasks na yung mga distracting na, for example, from 9 to 10, I dedicate that to like let's say, writing articles. So that forces me to focus on writing articles and not go online or, check my Facebook. So that's how I've been managing the distractions.
We're actually similar, Jen, kasi analog din ako. I don't use like any project management to-do list, apps, or whatever.
I know, right?
Yeah.
The apps are overwhelming.
As in. I use Notebook until now. Notebook lang siya talaga pa rin.
Yay, Notebook Club.
Yeah, Notebook Club. Even Candice uses Notebook lang. Yeah.
Because I think it's easier to remember and,
yeah.
it's just a notebook, so there's nothing else that's going to distract you. Because if you use an app, then you have to pick up your phone, and if you pick up your phone, then you see notifications, and you think about, Instagram and email and whatnot.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, welcome to the Notebook Club.
So we'll talk more about that later. Scheduling tasks within the day. So tip number 3 is we have mentioned this previously in the last podcast I was in. So for me personally, it's really important to create a dedicated work desk or work area, and it has to be like a place that you're like you really like to get you in the mood, to work. So for example, right now, so I have a separate room where I work, and so I keep it clean as much as possible. Because if it's not very well organized, which happens, every once in a while, like when you're so busy and then you just dump everything on the table. So
yeah, of course.
It's really distracting when you have so much stuff that you don't like. So you really have to. It's like it's part of your ritual, to see your workspace na malinis siya, and then you have your favorite stuff in there. So for example, for me, I like houseplants. So for example, if you have a really like a bright room with sunlight, so you can consider putting houseplants to give some character to your space, because if it's a workspace, usually di ba, parang it's a different mindset, like it's work. So maybe if you want to beautify it, you can put plants, or you can put whatever picture of your dog or something like that. So whatever makes you feel comfortable working, but also at the same time something that will not distract you from the work that you need to do. So don't put your phone in there if you because that to me is really, really important. Whenever I work, I don't want my phone inside, because most of the time I'm gonna grab my phone and check, even if it's just like a notification from like Globe or Smart, right? So it's very distracting. So as much
it's itching kasi to read it, diba?
Yeah, and it's very accessible. Information is very, very accessible. So the internet is already distracting enough, so you don't really want to add to that. So what I do is my phones, I put it in a separate room, like a bedroom. So I don't see it, I don't hear the notifications. So there. So what else do I have in my work desk, for example? So of course I have my laptop, a separate monitor, because it's easier, when you're getting older. It's better when the display is bigger.
It's bigger. I agree.
So according to this book that I've read, which Margaret will be talking about later on, it's called Deep Work. So you have to like prepare your workspace. So what I said earlier, it has to be something that you're really comfortable in, that you really like. So for example, if there is a project, or if there is a task that you really need to finish today, so you optimize your workspace. So for example, prepare a cup of coffee or prepare a glass of water, so that you don't have to leave your workspace just to get something, because parang nagiging excuse mo kasi yan eventually. Like, I'm thirsty, so I'm gonna go to the kitchen, and then you will find something else there, you'll snack, and then spend 30 minutes on snacking. So that's your brain is always going to find an easier way out.
Yeah.
So if it's a difficult task and it's not, your workspace is not optimized, so your brain is always going to look for something else to do. I'm not sure about you, Margaret, what your setup is like.
It's similar sa'yo, because I have also a separate room. So home office ang tawag ko sa kanya. Every morning, excited talaga ako magising. That's the first thing na pinapasukan ko talaga. Hindi yung banyo, hindi yung office. Yung office. Because prepare ko na lahat. Like, papasok na ako agad sa office. Kasi ino-on ko na yung powers and everything. Depende. If it's winter, i-on ko na yung heater. And if it's summer, naka-on na yung parang portable yung aircon niya. So, ganun. I-ready ko na siya muna bago ako mag-breakfast or maliligo, parang ganun. So, yeah, my work desk is, I have evolved quite a lot. So, work desk.
Minimalist, right?
Yeah. I'm trying. Trying. So, I'm trying to practice minimalism, guys. So, before, yung desk ko talaga super daming naman. Alam mo yun?
You're talking about my desk.
Sorta. I mean, well, yun nga, tulad na sabi natin kanina, disclaimer, iba-iba tayo eh, di ba?
Yes, yes, yes.
So, for some people, they wanted a lot of like, I don't know, junk, if you will. Diba? They wanted a lot of things. Kasi nga, mas creative sila doon.
Right.
Whereas sa akin, the lesser na gamit is better for me. So, I have a desk, like standing and sitting desk siya. Kasi alam mo naman, matanda na rin. So, sakit yung likod. So, then, yun nga, I have like a bigger screen na. Kasi ganun din. Matanda na rin.
Too hard to see now.
And then, as Jen said, guys, I just recently nag-add ako ng plants sa aking desk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kasi I'm not a plant person, guys. Kumuha ako ng inspiration sa Dahon Hub, na Instagram. So, guys, check out Dahon Hub. If you wanted some inspiration sa mga indoor plants, check out Dahon Hub. And of course, they deliver sa Davao and Tagum. Try nyo maglagay ng plants sa desk nyo kasi it's really helpful. Nakaka-uplift siya ng mood.
Yes, yeah.
Yung plant. So, ganun. So, yun lang. I added 2 indoor plants here. And then, ano ba? I only have the notebook at saka coaster for my coffee. Ganun. And I have like
so
a small speaker. Ganun lang. Yun lang. That's it.
I'm evaluating my desk at the moment. I have pens.
No, because you're creative and nag-drawing ka eh. Ako naman hindi.
I really, really want to try minimalism. I mean, not the entire event or something, but I find that it's easier to work if there is less stuff. Because again, more stuff, more distraction, at least for me and Margaret. So yeah, I try to clean up my space every once in a while. When it gets too, when it gets too messy and it gets too distracting, so I clean up.
Yeah.
Okay. So tip number 4 is do less, not more. A common misconception when we talk about productivity is, I have to do more. I have to accomplish a lot of things in a day. I guess it's true sometimes, but it's not always true. What do I mean by that? So when we say do less, not more, like work smart. For example, if there are so many tasks that you need to do in a day, and if you go back to tip number 1, which is, to remember your goal, sometimes when you think of a goal, you think of so many ways to try and achieve it. And then if you try to do all of those things at the same time, so parang you will end up, you will realize that you're not really doing much. Anyway, you've done so many things, but because they're not
aligned dun sa goal mo talaga.
They're not aligned. You will realize that yung ibang tasks doon are so shallow, if I may say. Trivial, yeah. So they don't really contribute to your overall goal. So you have to be able to, I guess, put your tasks in categories. And, if it's really trivial, so might as well just get rid of that. Because it's not going to help your productivity. It will just add to your task, your to-do list. A good tip is to automate things. In general, as a freelancer, what you can do is, for example, invoices, diba? We send invoices sa ating clients. If you have like a recurring or a retainer clients na ini-invoice mo monthly, the invoice apps, they have the ability to automate the invoices for recurring, like same time, each month. So, isi-send yun sa client. So, it's one less problem na na-solve for you. So, na-automate na yung invoicing mo. Then another thing, use a password management tool. Yep.
Diba?
Yes. Super. One of the best things ever created.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I'm using a password management tool. Of course, Jen din for sure. Use LastPass. It's actually free. And if you want the version na para ma-share mo sa family mo or sa team mo, it's really cheap.
Yeah, generate secure passwords, and you can also customize yung length or whatever. So, why are we talking so much about passwords? Because when you have so many tools, right, and you don't really want to use one password for everything because that is like a gift to the hackers. You want to diversify your passwords, and it's difficult to remember everything. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember anything. So LastPass can do that for you and can autofill your forms if you allow it to or stuff like that. So
exactly, guys, it's a game changer. So guys, use the password management tool. Jen and I, we suggest the LastPass because it's free. So yeah. Also, Jen, you're a fan of calendars, diba, Jen?
Yes.
Yeah, I know this.
Everything is in my calendar. There was even a phase previously where, you remember earlier I said something about scheduling my day. So I used to schedule it in the calendar, but then because it's an app, so medyo overwhelming siya because I have so many other things scheduled in there besides my daily schedule. Like, so you have like meetings or whatever, meetup, whatnot. So medyo overwhelming siya because they're all mixed up. So I moved out of the calendar and then I transferred to my notebook for my daily tasks. But I still keep a calendar for everything else, like this podcast was in that calendar. Because I guess, it kind of, because if you have to remember, like for example, this meeting, if I had to remember it mentally, then I would probably not remember it. I would not be here if I did not add it in my calendar. So everything else, like, if I have to meet a friend on Saturday, it's in my calendar. Yeah. It helps me remember things. Mainly, that's it. So
I'm gonna add my name there as calendar mo.
Yes. And it keeps, it helps you keep track of your commitments as well. Like, you can say yes to everyone on Saturday.
So yun lang dyan. There's a lot of automation tools. Depende kasi sa, sa work nila. So those are the things that I suggest. Invoices and password management, calendar. And another thing, guys, is doing less, not more. Is what we suggest is you eat the frog. What we mean here is eating the frog, guys, is I think this is from Brian Tracy, if I remember. Eating the frog is doing the high task, yung pinakamahirap na trabaho first. What happens to us, even in freelancers, di ba may nasan tabi natin yung mga mahihirap na task eh. Parang, yun nga, ang hirap niya gawin. Yeah, it's really daunting. So parang hindi mo muna siya ginagawa mo na yung mga shallow tasks like answering emails, replying to social media, whatever. Hanggang sa wala ka ng focus, hindi mo na nagawa yung pinaka-importanting task mo. So guys, like for me, for example, what is really important currently sa akin, we've been creating a lot of like videos and free courses, diba, for our super freelancers. So yun muna ang ginagawa ko first thing in the morning. So spend ako ng 1 hour or 2 hours to record mga courses, paid and free for the listeners here sa podcast. So inaata ko muna siya kasi para sa akin, high task yun eh. Diba? Like mag-record ako, gagawa ko ng slide and everything. So inaata ko muna siya first thing. Kinakain ko na yung frog kagad. Then the rest is yung mga task ko na.
All right, so tip number 5 is develop a ritual. So I think we've said this more than enough. It's important to have a ritual. So basically, when you say a ritual, it's something that you have been constantly doing to the point na nagiging habit na siya. Why is this important? Because if you're a freelancer, again, it's challenging to manage your time. So if you don't have a ritual, you will end up like thinking of whatever it is that you want to do at the moment. Say if you have 3 projects at the same time and you don't have a ritual or you don't have a schedule or whatever, it may be difficult for you to decide which task you want to do first. For example, let's start ng Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. So what I do is I plan out my week ahead of time. So I write down my major tasks or goals that I want to achieve this week. I write it on a small piece of paper and I stick it on my wall. So I will be reminded. Every time I have to check, if I'm doing something towards this goal or towards this task, like what we discussed earlier. So it's really important that your rituals are also based around your main goals, like what we discussed earlier. So I plan out my week on a Sunday night. What I also do daily, so I plan out my week right on a Sunday, and then I will write on my notebook. I will write my schedule for Monday. So I would it's kind of like setting expectations because I guess it's kind of like a brain dump at the end of the day, para makatulog ka ng maayos and don't think about ano yung gagawin ko bukas. So right, so but I kind of I write down the things that I want to do the following day. So I can sleep, and then so that's what I do on a daily basis until Friday night. And then that day I also schedule my weekends, but I realize that's too much. So it's funny because even like my errands, for example, Saturday usually is errands day. Yeah. Pre-COVID. So even Saturday I plan out my Saturday. Even my Sunday I plan out. So it's like I have to give myself some like Jen,
give yourself some slack.
Yeah, exactly. Relax, give yourself like some freedom to choose whatever you or to decide or do whatever you want to do for that day. So
spontaneous then kahit one day.
Yeah. So now Sundays usually I don't schedule anything. I don't allow except this one, of course, is because
thank you.
Malakas by Saturday, that's when I try, or even Friday night, I try and check if I was able to accomplish my goals for the week. That's just how I do it.
You said kanina, diba, na you put the phone talaga away pag nag-work.
Yeah. So I don't even watch movies sa computer anymore because I kind of like really parang inassign ko na siya for work only. Because if I watch Netflix dyan, then I would most likely watch Netflix all the time in my PC. So I watch Netflix sa phone. Pag nag-work ako, I don't allow my phone in there. I like your ritual, what you said earlier, like when you start your day, you go to the office. I don't do that when I start my day. I eat. I will have coffee first before I can function. So,
Oo.
or eat something before I can function. So, just do whatever works for you. Have a ritual. So I don't know, it just kind of makes things easier for you. But I think a good question is, how do you develop a ritual? Ritual is just a habit. Productivity really is about rituals and forming a habit that works for you to maximize your time. Because for sure, it also depends on the kind of work that you do. Because most likely before I started freelancing, I had a different ritual. I did not need to plan out my day like what I do now, because it was already set. The tasks for your day were already set by your manager or something. So it changes over time, and some things will probably not work right away. You will realize that I need to watch a short movie first before I start the day. Or just whatever really. But the most important thing is if you really want to develop a ritual, you have to do it constantly and figure out if it works for you. I guess that's how you form or you develop a ritual.
If I may add to that, Jen, I just realized now how to develop a ritual. So, you've read The Atomic Habits by James Clear, diba?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, if you haven't yet, you can try reading the book because it's actually really good. So, sabi kasi doon ni James Clear is how you can develop habits by starting really small. And if you guys are also familiar with Kaizen Cure, it's a Japanese concept. So, Kaizen, if I'm not mistaken, ibig niyang sabihin is to try to form a habit. Like, i-try mo lang siya. Kunwari, gusto mo mag-exercise. Gusto mo na mag-exercise every day or mag-jogging. So, umpisahan mo ngayon ng 1 minute lang. 1 minute ka lang mag-exercise. Parang ganun. And the next day, 3 minutes. Hanggang sa naging 10 minutes ka na. Hanggang sa 15 minutes. So, wow, hanggang sa 1 hour ka na pala. 1 hour mo
you build it up, build up.
Yeah, you build it up. So, I think it's the same concept with Atomic Habits. Kaya nga atomic, diba? Because atom. Atomic Habits, you build it slowly. Dahan-dahan. Like, for example, like in my case, I've mentioned earlier, way back to the Philippines, I was a nocturnal person. Like, I sleep at 4 or 5, then I wake up at late na. Ganun ako mag-work dati. But right now, since I moved to a different place, and then I have to cater like 3 time zones. So I have to cater the Philippine time zone, and I have to cater Europe, and then I have to cater, of course, Australia. So I have to maximize talaga my time. Na parang yung saan yung middle time ng lahat na yun na pwede mag-meet. I moved my time to probably like 2 a.m. until 2 a.m., 1, 2 a.m. until 9 to 10 in the morning. Ganun na yung habit ko. So, paano ko siya switch? So, medyo mahirap siya kasi nga, sanay ako na 5 a.m. ako natutulog, then late ako nagigising. So, dahan-dahan ko siya ginawa. So, first, in-approach ko siya into something like, okay, sinimulan ko muna na magising ako ng 11 a.m. for 1 week. Then, another week, nagising na ako ng 10 a.m. So, then, another week, nagising na ako ng 9 a.m. So, hanggang sa, tuloy-tuloy.
Gradual, right?
Gradual. You have to, yun sinabi mo, you have to build it up. It's a discipline that you're trying to do, diba? Motivation, that's another thing. And motivation, you can get motivation kahit saan eh. Pero yung discipline kasi, that's the hardest thing.
Yeah, diba? It's from you. So it has to come from you.
Yeah, it has to come from you. Yeah, hanggang sa I developed it na. So, parang sanay na yung circadian rhythm ko na ganun na. Pwede mo siya magawa sa kahit anong ritual na gusto mo, routine dyan. Exercise din. Find time to exercise. For example, you wanted to train in the morning, then try doing it like 10 minutes muna, hanggang sa 30 minutes ka na every day, ganun. So, whatever works for you. Whatever exercise works for you, it may be yoga, it may be just stretching or whatever. It doesn't have to be complicated, the exercise, but just try to take care of your heart, diba? And your heart.
Yeah. What I've been doing lately, I guess, is because it's really important. You can sit on your in front of the computer the entire day.
Yeah.
If that's what you do for a living, right? So what I've been doing, because I've been putting off exercise since COVID. So I've been in the middle of the day or like maybe after lunch. So I go to the garden, at least, so I could get my blood flowing back my feet. So in exchange for exercise, I garden for like an hour or something. But exercise would really, it makes you feel great. If you can incorporate it, it would be really good. Even just for like 15 minutes, right?
Exactly.
30 minutes a day. You don't have to exercise for 1 hour.
So that's for the ritual, guys. So whatever works for you, hindi namin pwede masabi na, ganito dapat yung ritual nyo. So whatever works for you, try to experiment or try things. Ano yung ritual mo? It could be meditation, it could be praying, it could be like nagsisindi ka ng incense. I know someone, bago siya mag-start mag-work, it's actually, yun sinabi mo kanina, nanonood siya ng one motivational video.
Okay.
So,
because I guess I think the takeaway here is if you want to start a ritual, you have to start small, like what Margaret said. I think it's kind of like, if you want to switch to a different diet, you can't change drastically because your system is really going to reject that because it's not used to it. So if you start small until you get used to it, or until your system gets used to it, and then it becomes a habit. Yep. It's gonna take some time. It's gonna take a lot of discipline.
Pero great things take time kasi, diba? So, it's worth it.
Like our friendship.
So, guys, hindi nakasali yun.
No.
So if you're curious about the Super Freelancers course, which is a course for Filipino freelancers on how to fast-track your freelancing career in 21 steps, we have something for you as our podcast listener. Please go to articleanddesign.com/enroll-here to be the first to know when we launch and get 500 pesos discount code on the upcoming course. This is exclusive for our podcast listeners only. So thanks for taking your time.
Number 6, guys, work deeply. So this is actually not our concept. This is from Cal Newport. We've mentioned earlier yung book niya na Deep Work. I really, really love it. I think I suggest it.
Game-changing.
Exactly. Suggest it talaga sa mga freelancers. Grab that book, basahin niyo siya. Because it really helped create the courses that we have for because I've practiced deep work. So ganun, what is deep work, guys? Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction or on a cognitively demanding task. So the ability to focus, sabi nila, is akin to a superpower. Kasi not everyone can actually do deep work, diba? As Cal Newport said, diba dyan, it's rare daw. Deep work is rare. Kasi especially sa time right now that technology is really, and dami ng mga apps and everything.
Yeah, everything is so accessible. Yeah,
exactly. So deep work. Just think of it. It's a deep focus. One major takeaway na gusto ko din sa book is the law of productivity. In order for you to produce a high quality work, this is the formula. So time spent is multiplied to the intensity of focus. So for example, there's a lot of approaches to deep work, diba Jen? Pero I just want to discuss one approach, which is a rhythmic approach. Rhythmic approach, a fixed time for deep work throughout the day. My deep work is 1 to 2 hours per day. Sinasatabi ko siya para gawin yung mga kurso sa article and design. 2 hours first thing in the morning bago ako magtrabaho talaga ng other task ko. So you have to actually have a fixed time that you're going to do a high task work. Time spent, for example, I spent 2 hours times the intensity of focus ko doon. Of course, hindi ko nagagawin yung maths, pero just imagine it. Time spent, then yung focus mo. So, pwede mong sabihin na hindi ka masyado focus or focus ka. Diba? Depende sa distraction na nangyayari at that moment. Pero like in my case, what I'm trying to do is I put away all distractions, like yung phone ko naka-turn off, tapos yung mesa ko walang laman, just my laptop, and then a notebook ko, and then yung outline ng kurso na ginagawa ko. So, ganun. Then, I spent 1 to 2 hours finishing the course. Then, natatapos ko siya. So, Cal Newport said, high-quality work produced. Formula is time spent multiplied to the intensity of focus. So, guys, kung titingnan mo siya, it's actually common sense, di ba? Kasi the more focused you are sa isang bagay, mas makaka-produce quality work, di ba dyan? Kasi sa parang, you're doing it parang pahapyaw lang, di ba? So, pahapyaw yung focus na ini-input mo doon. For me, it really helped me, yung intensity ng focus. So, wala ako ibang ginagawa kundi yun lang.
Yeah.
That's
laser focused.
As in, laser precision focus. So,
eyes on the prize.
Eyes on the prize, guys. Exactly.
There was an example, and this may be relatable to the creatives, especially. Like when you're, for example, if you're an artist or a painter, right? And when you paint something, you go into a state na parang in psychology, they call it flow. You go into that state wherein your brain automatically just goes with the flow of what you're doing. And you lose track of time. So it has to be that kind of state that you get into. Yan yung deep work na sinasabi ni Cal Newport. Which is not, it's not easy to achieve, especially if it's like a task that you don't really want to do, but you have to do. For example, papers, mga academic papers, or whatever, really huge tasks that you have to do, but you're not really keen to do. So for you to be able to get into that kind of flow, you have to be consistent in assigning. If you remember what we said earlier, you have to optimize your work area so that it feels comfortable and it sets you in the mood for working. It has to be the same time every day.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to form a habit of doing deep work daily. If not daily, or you have to plot it out in your calendar, for example, in a week. If you cannot, like for example, if you're a family person, and the day is meant for like taking care of your family, so you can't really insert some time to work in between. So you have to set a schedule, maybe right before you prepare breakfast, or right before bedtime, at least 1 to 2 hours, but not less, because again, I don't think you will be able to get into that kind of state if it's gonna be if you will work on your task for an hour or less than an hour. So you have to set a dedicated space and schedule and time daily, or at least yung regular interval siya. So you will get used to, so parang pagdating nung time na yun, for example, let's say 8 to 9 a.m. So parang automatically yung brain mo nagsiswitch na siya to work mode at that hour. So that's what it does, and it's a really, really good habit to form. But it can be challenging if you're not like if you're the kind of person who always checks your notifications, and that's okay. But if you're trying to achieve something, then you also have to allot time to complete the task. If you really, really, really need to check your notifications daily, then you set another time for it, not at the same time that you have to.
You have to do deep work.
It's a really, really good book. I agree. Yeah.
That was the reason bakit namin nagawa mga kurso, dahil doon I set aside a fixed time.
And also another notable thing that I remember from his book was yung uso ngayon na co-working. Yeah, dinibunk niya kasi it does not give you an opportunity to focus on your work. So, parang nagiging sobrang distracting na siya. Although it's good to collaborate and talk about your ideas, brainstorm, but then you would really have to spend some time alone to work on your task. So, it cannot be completed with everyone around. Parang yun yung sinabi niyo, which I kind of agree actually. Or maybe it's just because of our working styles. I mean, I cannot
probably.
I work better alone.
Yeah, because I know some people they work productively sa workspaces, co-working spaces, and gusto nila yung open space. Like I think Cal Newport mentioned Twitter before has an open space na working setup daw, diba? Yung nakikita mo lahat ng katrabaho mo and everything. But I know some people na mas preferred nila sa co-working space. But I actually tried it here, Jen, to work sa co-working space before. I think like 3 years ago. It's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to have, it can work, I guess, if you have the ability to yung parang shut out your environment. I know some people have the ability to do, so they kind of parang they create like a virtual, room on their own, so they can focus and work. But
So the last tip, guys, break the habit of procrastination. All right. So wow, Jen, procrastination.
How?
Familiar, no? Familiar.
Tell us how.
Familiar. So guys, hindi kami perfect. We like Jen and I procrastinate din, diba? Like ako, music is life. Diba? Gusto ko lagi makinig sa yung mga bagong indie artists, mga ganun, or even K-pop. Indie artists yung K-pop daw, So,
whatever. Ice cream.
So yeah, going back. So guys, procrastination, ito yung a rampant problem natin as a creative. Of course, it's really tempting, diba? To procrastinate. So, ano ba ibig sabihin ng procrastination? So, procrastination is actually the act of delaying or postponing something. Diba? So, may mga kailangan kang gawin, pero dinidelay mo siya for whatever reason. Diba? Siguro
excuses.
Excuses, or tinamad ka, or gusto mo manood ng bagong show na Netflix, etc. We all do procrastinate, guys, but procrastination is actually a habit. In science, yung habit, you can break that. You can break a habit. Sometimes get into like yung procrastination rabbit hole na. Diba? Nandun ka na eh. One thing led to another, pumunta ka na sa ex mo, pumunta ka na sa family ng ex mo, pumunta ka na sa girlfriend ng ex mo. Diba? So, it's a rabbit hole na. Paano mo siya binibreak?
I talk to myself. Sure. Yeah, like, so, for example, if I go to Instagram, then I start scrolling, and then I notice that, the time is, I'm wasting time on it, so I say, stop. It's just say stop, and then go back to, either you go back to whatever it is that you need to do. But, they also say that procrastination is actually like parang fear siya of doing something, because it's, especially if it's such a huge task, thinking about it, that's already, it's scaring you because it's such a difficult task, or it's such a huge task. So you end up making excuses for yourself because it's a difficult task. So, sometimes even doing other tasks that are not related to, for example, that major project, that's also procrastinating. You're spending time on other tasks that you're not really supposed to do at the moment. So hindi lang talaga siya Instagram or Blackpink new video.
Excuse me.
So So it can also be other shallow tasks that you're doing, right? Because you're trying to avoid the bigger task that's waiting for you. So how can you do that? You can break down the huge tasks. So for example, if it's like a 10-page article that you have to write and deadline is like in 2 days, or make it 4 days or five days, for example. So you break it down. So, and then that's, I guess, where you can apply yung deep work concept. Yeah, so you plot it out in your week. So at least spend 1 or 2 hours working on that task. Para hindi siya masyadong difficult. Because 10 pages, that's a lot of pages. So if you break it down, so at least you only have to work on at least 2 pages per day. So start small. Not start small. Yeah, start small.
Start small din. Pwede din. Like batching. Iba-batch mo yung mga tasks. Yeah, that is really good, Jen. And another thing actually na na-find ko that's working for me, in line with the daunting task or yung mga huge ordeal, kumbaga ng mga projects natin, what I'm doing is, ako kasi alam ko na yung peak time ko, yung peak levels ko. Anong oras ako talaga superhuman. Alam mo yung ganun. So, alam ko na yung peak time ko. Kasi nga, going back to number 2, I track my time. So, parang nalaman ko saan talaga yung peak ko na grabe yung productivity ko. So, in my case, it's around like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Ganun. So, ang ginagawa ko pag may mga huge task, doon ko siya nilalagay. Ganun.
Right. Yeah,
doon ko siya nilalagay para alam ko talaga na that moment, maiiwasan ko halos yung procrastination. Kasi nga, yan yung peak level ko. Kumbaga, peak level Margaret ko. So, yeah, that's another thing for me. And then, lately, ginagawa ko lang siya kasi nga, di ba, COVID na. So, hindi na tayo nakakapasyal. Pero pwede pa naman mag-exercise sa labas. So, whenever I find myself na parang, ayun nga, parang iniiwasan ko yung mga huge tasks, what I do, Jen, is actually I go out, just sa backyard lang, just get some fresh air. Ganun. Like, orasan ko siya, like 5 minutes. 5 minutes lang, tapos babalik ako dun sa desk ko. And then, parang may fresh new perspective ka ko.
Right.
Diba? So, hindi ka na natuloy dun sa parang,
Blackpink dance practice.
Blackpink in your area. Guys, kasi exercise yun. Ipa-follow yung dance practice nila. Di ba naka-rigid?
Yeah, but that's right. That's, we're not perfect. We're not gods of productivity.
Yeah.
So this is why we have a ritual, because otherwise we will not be, and personally, I will not be able to accomplish anything if I don't have a schedule, because I will end up doing a bunch of things that I'm not supposed to do.
Yeah, true.
Like even, like arranging my desk. I don't want to write. I don't want to write at this hours. I'm just gonna clean my room. Right? So like you're finding excuses to do something else na you can tag as productive din naman yung maglinis ng room. Except that you're not supposed to be doing that at this hour because you
Is that what they call active procrastination ba? Yan ba yung tawag nila? Parang productive naman siya pero
but it's not.
Siya, pero it's not your priority, kumbaga.
Yeah. I mean, do you really have to clean your room at 3 p.m.? You don't have to. So there. I'm wondering what my peak hours. Evening siya, because in the afternoon I really don't schedule anything big. So I just garden in the afternoon. Because it's too hot in the Philippines in the afternoon. So and if I want to, for example, if I want to write an article in the afternoon, it's not gonna get written. I'd probably be sleeping at that hour. So I might as well just garden and then schedule either early morning or so basically first thing in the morning, when your head is clear and you're not that distracted. That's I guess peak super Jen mo. And then normally mga 7 to 8 p.m.
Nice. Yeah. Notice your peak levels because it will actually help you.
I should try the time tracker to see when. All right, guys. So those are our 7 tips for no BS productivity for Filipino freelancers. Just to summarize, so again, the first tip is to decide on what you want to accomplish. But just make sure that you set goals, realistic, specific goals, and make sure that your tasks, your daily activities are geared towards your goals to help you focus. And the second tip is to track your time and what you are doing. So you will know whether you're, or where you are wasting your time. So we are going to write down the apps that we recommend for you to be able to track your time. It helps you identify your peak hours. And then again, it will help you identify activities that are just wasting your time. And then once you identify your peak hours, then you can schedule your most difficult tasks around those hours. And then number 3 tip is to create a dedicated work desk or area. A lot a space or a room, if you have an extra room at your place, that is dedicated for work only. So you don't sleep there, you don't eat there, it's just for work. And then, of course, your setup, your desk setup, you try to optimize it, minimize distraction as much as possible. So don't put like a bookshelf, unless maybe or TV, unless maybe you're a writer or a film, or a director that you need to watch or read to get things done. But otherwise, it's just purely for work. That's number 3. And then number 4, do less, not more. So work smart, identify important tasks, and then, get rid of mga basura tasks.
I like how you call it.
There. And then another way to be able to do less is to use automation apps if possible. The example was, like if you have to invoice your clients monthly, then just automate that so you don't have to do it manually every month. You can also plot your activities in your calendar so you don't have to mentally remember all your commitments and you just get notifications. And then another important tip there is to eat the frog. So basically you try to do the most difficult task first before the rest. There. And then tip number 5 is to develop a ritual. For us, what works is we plan out our weeks or our days. So my example was to, I write down the tasks or the goals that I want to achieve within the entire week. And then I plot out my week based on, or my activities based on those tasks or goals. And then develop a routine that works specially for you. So you don't have to, copy my routine or Margaret's routine. It has to be something that you enjoy doing, because a routine is something that you enjoy doing because it sets your mind, right? Like it's basically mind setting kasi, right? Like when you wake up in the morning, you get coffee first before you can get started. So that's okay, whatever really works for you.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to develop a routine, so that's, I guess, the trickier part because you have to, essentially it's creating a habit, right? So you have to start small. If you want to change your habit, so start small, maybe like the example of Margaret. If you want to, let's say, change your schedule. So slowly transition to your new habit or ritual. And then number 6 is to work deeply. So the concept is to set a fixed time for intensive work and just focus on one task alone within that specific time or period. The recommendation is at least 1 hour per day. If you can go 2, 3, 4 hours, if you can work that long, na intensive work, so that's even better.
Yeah, by all means, please do it.
By all means. But the same, similar to number 5, to start at least with 1 hour. If you don't go 4 hours right away if you have not done it before, because that's just going to pressure you.
Yeah.
So set a fixed time schedule. If you can do it daily, so you will form a habit around it for intensive work. And then number 7 is to break the habit of procrastination. Most of the time we procrastinate because it's a difficult task, so you don't want to do it. Hanggang naging 1 year later na lang siya. If it's too huge and if it's daunting, if it's scaring you to start, then i-batch mo siya. So you break it down to smaller tasks. And then you can schedule it daily, daily intensive work until magawa mo siya, until complete mo siya. And then it also helps if you, again, determine your peak hours, and then so you would know when you will work intensively para mas madali mong magawa yung difficult task. There. So those are the 7 tips for
productivity. So that's it, guys. Whatever works for you, gawin nyo. Kung gusto nyo din kami gayahin, then bahala din kayo, di ba?
But these are the things that work for us. So if these don't work for you, don't force it because it's not gonna work.
If other things will work for you, like Pomodoro technique and working space, then by all means, let's just do it, guys. So as long as you're actually productive.
Yeah, hopefully nakatulong naman siya.
Thank you once again, Jen, for co-hosting this episode.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So yeah, that's it, guys. Productivity tips. So I hope that's helpful, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast.
If you enjoyed it, please take a second to leave a review over Apple Podcasts.
And be sure to check out our courses at A&D Creative Lab.
You can find our courses at articleanddesign.com and go to the Creative Lab.
You can also join our Facebook group, Article and Design, Super Freelancers PH.
Oh, be part of our 1 million mission, transforming 1 million Filipino freelancers into super freelancers. See ya!
This episode is brought to you by Dahon Hub, a Davao-based plant shop dedicated to providing healthy, established plants in every home.
Check them out on Instagram for houseplants and occasional plant geekery. Their handle is Dahon Hub. DAHONHUB.